and welcome to Americans Learn. My name is Lauren, and today I'm going to be looking at a Lost in the Pond video. It's been a while since I've done a Lost in the Pond video, but I've always enjoyed them. I do watch them still on my own from time to time, so this one is a new one, though. I haven't seen it yet. It just popped up on my For You page, and right now we're going through some weird stuff with like with shuffling, and basically I'm currently not monetized at all on any of the channels, which is so great. But I'm going to be doing some videos, and that because of that, I'm going to be doing videos that either I won't be able to monetize anyway, so like music stuff, and I'm going to be doing stuff that it's probably just not gonna get a million views. Granted, nothing I'd ever do is gonna get a million views, but look, I'm looking for things that are unlikely to get like over 1,000 views in the next week or two, because hopefully things get settled by then. But for now, I'm doing all of this just for you lovely people. So huzzah to you. Anyway, I like these videos, and so I'm going to do them regardless of how much other people like them. Just for me. So yeah, we're gonna see 8 American habits that confused him as a Brit. Let's find out.
Thanks. Just put it on my knee. Yeah. Hello, I'm Lawrence, and I'm on a quest to uncover all of the memos that Britain and America lost in the pond. And one of those memos pertains to habits, specifically American habits that confused me when I first moved to the United
sweet tea
States.
And stuff.
And I'm not talking about things like picking your nose.
Iced tea, like iced tea in the wintertime, that kind of thing.
Because I think we all do that. Most of you do that, I think, is what I've heard. I'm talking about habits that seem to be culturally ingrained in America and not so much in Britain. One such habit is that Americans tend to be more direct. And so in the interest of assimilation,
habit or a trait?
I'm going to do likewise. If you are not yet subscribed to this channel, do that now.
I am subscribed on at least one of my channels.
In the meantime, here are 8 American habits that confused me as a Brit. All right, so I was already prepared for this one just because, you know, we watch a lot of American films back in Britain. But when my new American relatives and/or friends started calling me things like buddy and pal, there was a weird novelty to it. I can't really explain it. It's like how I've said before, you know, how
I know that he lives in the Midwest, and I live in the Midwest currently. But I don't think I've ever actually heard people use... I don't think I've ever actually heard anyone say buddy or pal to their friend. I don't think I've ever... I've like, parent to kid, like, hey, bud, you know, or like adult to young child. I've seen and heard that, but I don't think I've ever witnessed it amongst peers.
I always thought yellow school buses were simply a trope of American films. To some degree, you start thinking that about everything, and words like buddy and pal fell into that category. Growing up in Britain, where the equivalent word is mate, it took some getting used to, and I also noticed that just like with the word mate, both buddy and pal can be used in an affectionate way and a not so affectionate way. An example would be if an American hasn't seen you in a long time, they might say, hey buddy, what's up? Because, you know, they think
I love that his American accent is very
If you took their car seat, they'll look at you with that steely expression on their face and say, I called shotgun, buddy. And, you know, this happens all the time. It could mean that I'm just an asshole.
I don't know. Or maybe I'm just not hanging out with a demographic that uses buddy and pal unironically to their friends, you know?
It's probably that. Now, I can't say that this goes for all immigrants that move to the United States, but one thing that I've experienced a lot is Americans saying, I love your accent. Did you order that online? It is a common question that I get from people. You know, no. You sound just like the Geico Gecko. Could I just put you in the corner and have you speak to me all day? And
oh, that's weird. I mean, I've definitely been guilty of telling people that I liked their accent, but not as an adult. Like, I did that when I was a lot younger. Can I put you in a corner is so weird. I mean, I think I might have told somebody recently. No, I thought it recently, but I didn't say it out loud. It's like, I think that person should narrate audiobooks. Like, I would let them talk to me. I've thought it. I have thought it in my head. I would let that person talk to me all day. Or like, I would listen to them speak constantly. But I didn't say that to them. Maybe he'll tell me if this is a good or a bad thing. Maybe I should tell people I liked their accent. Because, you know, it's like, that could be nice, getting a compliment. But I'm like, would it be annoying? You know, I don't. That's why I don't say it, because I'm like, I feel like it's kind of weird. And especially if it's out of nowhere, you know? I don't know.
Yes, those are real things that have been said to me, but in some ways it's good because it's an icebreaker. I'm an introvert. I don't want to just, think of things to say. And so if they want me to say words like water, tomato, and banana, it's an easy enough paycheck. They get a good giggle out of it, and I never have to see them again. Coffee is a huge thing over here.
Coffee!
And of course, they drink it in cups that.
Ouch. This is, ow! My frick! Ow! Ugh! Ah! We're fine. Don't worry about it. Ow. This is what I was drinking my coffee out of this morning. Before Alec got here and we started filming for the Chicanime channel. So he's not wrong. Got the coffee.
That are as big as this one right here, because not only do pound for pound Americans drink more coffee than British people, they also drink them on the whole in bigger cups. Now,
well, Americans do almost everything in bigger cups. Again, okay, the accent thing, not sure if that's a habit. Like, is it really a habit to ask somebody about their accent? Like, you don't read that. I feel like that's not really a habit. That's like a thing that people have done. Maybe that goes back to the being direct thing, but again, I'm not sure if that's a habit or a trait.
Coffee, that is, when I was in Britain. So I didn't previously have a point of comparison.
What was he drinking?
Now, I never used to drink coffee, that.
Because that looks like some kind of, like a crush? Looks like maybe there's salt on the rim. Is it a I would say margarita, but it looks like there's a lot of like Cointreau or something at the bottom. Like a lemonade on top, and is that a lemon or a candied orange on the glass? I'm not gonna try and guess what the hell he's drinking. It's silly. I like his shorts though.
That is, when I was in Britain. So I didn't previously have a point of comparison between the coffee cups in this country and those in Britain. But a few years ago, the wife and I went to Paris. And then we went to England just recently, and it dawned on me, the cups over there, on the whole, are smaller. The default that they will give you for just a latte are like there, they're small.
Well, if you go out, like if you're at a cafe or something, even here, like you can, like that's the standard size of a latte. As someone who worked at a place, I'll show you the kind of cups that we use. The cups that we use were like this, like maybe a little bit smaller, I think, than this one, but like, just like, it's not that huge. It's like a pretty normal sized cup. It's like, that looks like about the size that he was showing. And like, we also had an option for a much bigger size, but this was like the standard latte size at the coffee shop that I worked at. So anyway, but like, yeah, if we're talking to go, everyone takes the big one to go, 24 ounces to go, almost exclusively, but.
In some ways, that's good because it sort of promotes responsible caffeine intake. On the other, when I was in Britain, instead of just ordering one small coffee like that, I'd get 3 of them. That's why I was jet lagged the whole time. I've just realised that. And you might say, well, that's not really to do with American habits. That's just what's on offer. But even I, now, as an American citizen, do have the habit of just ordering a grande. And
yeah, I would say the habit is coffee is the habit. Big coffee is definitely, this one, I'll give it to him. It's a habit because coffee is a habit because it's something that you do every day. It's something that you do a lot. So it makes it habitual. As opposed to asking people about their accent, which I feel like is a one-off kind of thing. You're not doing that like to every person that you meet, and you're not doing it on the regular. Anyway, this is not me nitpicking about habits, but it kind of is.
I think the real habit that Americans do more than Europeans is taking this with you on the go, through the park, a little saunter around the shopping mall, which is probably where you bought this. And I think that even though Britain is starting to catch up in terms of its coffee culture, there's still quite a wide difference between the coffee drinking habits of the two peoples. And the part of me that really loves my convenience likes to walk down the street with a coffee in my hand. But on the other, I don't like to give in in to this societal pressure of always needing to be busy and on the go. So I mostly just drink it in the bath. Americans have this big habit of using the word right in ways that other people don't. And I'm not just talking about politics, I'm talking about the way in which it's used in sentences. First of all, there is this thing Americans do when they want to show agreement with another person, where they say, I know, right? Or
Yep. I knew that's where it was gonna go. I do that all the time. It's like, right. It's how you show, it's like, exactly. But it's a quicker word to say.
they might just abbreviate that question/sentence to just right, and
Right?
sort of infectious. It's the sort of thing that, in my early days in the US, I found myself saying again and again and again, until I remember that I'm a bit of a contrarian, and since everybody else was doing it, I had to stop doing it. But there's another use of the word right that I think I've also been guilty of, where they'll use it almost like an interjection. So for example, my management team might say something like, Lawrence is the next big thing, right? He's smart, he's talented, he's the third sexiest man alive. And whilst
I don't hear that often, but again, that might be a demographics thing.
statistically, a third of that is true. The important part here is that my management team remembered to stick the word right in there so that you wouldn't stop listening. On the other hand, it's hours and not miles. That's right. In Britain, if we talk about the distance from point A to point B, we'll typically say it's a certain amount of miles, as opposed to kilometres. But this is not a conversation about imperial versus metric. This is merely me giving the British perspective so that I can contrast it with the fact that a lot of the time, Americans...
Okay. So this is like about longer trips then, because it's going to be like, I mean, you know what? I do it for shorter trips too, I guess. I look at, if I look at something like, oh, okay, that's 40 minutes. If it's like a mile or so away, it's like, all right, that's about a 40-minute. I do everything in walk. Like I walk everywhere. So it's like, okay, if it's less than 2 miles, I usually am going to walk it. Cause I'm like, 40 minutes to an hour, that's doable if I'm not doing anything else. If the weather is nice, or sometimes if the bus is going to take almost as long as walking, or if I'm still going to have to walk for 15 minutes at some point anyway, then I might just walk the whole thing. But usually if it's all right, but I think he's talking about slightly longer trips. So like a British person might be like, 3 miles away, whereas an American person, because it's a bigger country, people are like, okay, that's a 4-hour drive. Okay, doable in a day, When
they tell me how long it takes to get from, say, Chicago to Indianapolis, it isn't a couple of 100 miles, it's 6 hours. That's because we often stop at the dog park. Maybe this is a result of the fact that Americans drive longer distances, and so they need to know that time. Because sometimes you can drive so long in the US that you actually need to stop for the night and, book a motel.
To get from where my parents lived to me, the one time that they came to visit 7 years ago, we had to stop. But, or I usually fly if I go there, and I fly, but that's because I don't have a car. I might drive more places if I had a car, but also at the same time, I don't want a car. I don't need one right now. Anyway, not that that's relevant to anything. What was I saying?
The time becomes more important, I suppose, to a potential commute.
Oh, right. I was going to say, it's like, I've heard a lot of stories about people and this is just hearsay, right? I have not talked to anyone who this has happened to. I have read stuff on the internet. That is the disclaimer here. It's like a parent is upset that their kid moved away, then they moved so far away, and it's like an hour drive. Whereas in America, it's like someone has moved 3 hours away from their parents, and that's still a day trip. Granted, I grew up about 3 hours away from my grandparents, right? We didn't start making that a day trip until until the kids were a little bit older. But that was also because I think my parents were also getting they had finally gotten to the level of fed up with that family, as the kids had been for our entire lives. So it's like, do we actually want to spend 2 days up there? No. So let's drive up in the morning, spend the day, and then drive back and be home by 11 at night, I think my parents finally got to the level of the children where we were like, we never wanted to spend the weekend there. We would have all been much happier to just do that trip multiple times in one day, even though all of us got car sick. Anyway.
I still prefer to go by the bigger number, which is the distance, and therefore is more impressive to me. But
Yeah,
to
but
each his
like
own.
then
I
you
didn't
don't
know
know
whether
how
to
long
put
it's
this
gonna
one in
take.
for a while, and then I thought
I
about
like
it
knowing
and
how long
realised
it's
that there's
gonna
actually
take.
many different facets to this particular entry, and that entry
Okay.
is this. Americans will use parking lots as death traps. Now, I have a caveat here. This is by no means all
What?
Americans. It's very specific ones. When I worked in the call center, I used to get a ride from someone who lived in the local area. And one day, it had been snowing really bad
Oh,
outside.
that is such a Chicago alley. I feel like I've been in like 9 different alleys that look exactly like that.
And she decided, hey, British person with your naive ways, have you ever done a 360-degree skid in a car park? Although she wouldn't have said car park. And I thought
No.
she was joking. You know, it'd been
I
a
have
long day
not.
of people yelling at us until she did it just there in the partially empty parking lot, and we span around. I thought I was about to die and or be deported, and she was laughing her head off. At first I thought this was an isolated incident until some teenagers started drifting, as it's known, in the car park to my local school. You might say, oh, Lawrence, great, you've cherry-picked a part of your memory bank to make it seem as if things like this happen all the time.
You know what? When I was a teenager, we didn't do a wheelie or whatever. Like, we didn't do donuts in the parking lot, but we did do some dangerous maneuvers with the car in the parking lot. Yep. You know what? Fair enough. We did do that. We did do that. That was that was a day. Ooh, I forgot about that. And I was like, we don't do that. I've never done anything like. I was like, wait a minute. Yes, I have. I've done something worse than a wheelie, than a donut in a parking lot. So much worse, especially because it wasn't even like a mostly empty parking lot. I mean, no one was there, but there was a lot of cars still.
They don't, but parking lots are a place in which I've seen differences in people's awareness of other cars. In Britain, and this may have changed in the smartphone era, if you're walking into one of the big stores from a car park, you're usually hyper aware of any cars that may be behind you trying to get out. So you walk at the side right up against any cars here, and you do so at a speed that is slightly above walking pace. In America, those people on foot are not always in such a rush. Like, you could be in your car trying to drive this way, and there's like two people walking really slowly there, and they don't care. It's not been bred into Americans to care. I talked a few weeks ago about the British tendency to want to save the face of other people, to not put them out. This is a generalization, it's not true of everyone, but it does exist nonetheless. Americans don't necessarily have that approach to society, and I think this is perfectly embodied by their approach to exiting a parking lot. Here's a habit that... Sorry. Here's a habit that I feel like I've picked up since being here. Americans, if they have access to vacation days, which is not always a given, will take those vacation days, but still occasionally work on those vacation days. Even if it's just a light email or two. And I feel like when I was in England...
This is like, I just keep injuring myself in this particular episode. Ow. I really got myself there.
Recently, I told myself, no work, no way, Jose. I'm just going to go and enjoy the countryside and a plate of fish and chips and come home. I did do some filming, and I had 3 plates of fish and chips to make up for it. But this tendency among some American workers with whom I've worked was quite jarring. I think in Britain, where we are given, I think it's 28 days of paid leave a year, we value that time. I think we value our holidays. We see the importance of rejuvenation, and that importance isn't just toward your physical well-being, it also improves your job performance. And so this American habit of working beyond regular hours is one that's born out of a society where it's almost shameful not to work hard, to put in the hours, to go above and beyond just to get that promotion. I got burned out doing that at the call center, partly because I had to deal with people, but partly because I just didn't have a life. So when I took vacation time at that company or other companies, I really took that vacation time. It's only since I became a bona fide YouTube sensation that I found myself doing occasional work on holiday. I think it's easier when you love your job, but it doesn't...
See, for me, like most of the jobs I've done, it's been like restaurant work, so it's not like I can actually do too much of that while I'm on vacation. If I'm away, I'm not at the restaurant, you know? I'm not there doing inventory or making the phone call or what. I'm not actually doing that stuff. So, like, I can't, but with like this job, I have access to it all the time on my phone. Um, Constantly having to, answer. I mean, which is fine. But it does mean that like I don't, like, even when I have gone away, and even if I wasn't actively filming, I was still doing a lot of behind the scenes stuff. So I was like, all right. That stuff is easy though. It's like it's not that hard. Well, it can be. I wasn't doing any editing or anything, but like just it can be, it can be a lot. It can be a lot. It can be a lot.
Doesn't mean that rest isn't important, which is why you should stay tuned until the end of this video to watch my take on why British and American sleep time is very different. And I put this one in because I didn't want this video to feel like it was a complete slam against America and American life. I don't feel particularly negative toward most of these habits, and this is especially true of this one, which is more of an anti-habit. It's about chewing gum. Now, when I think of chewing gum, I think of Americans for some reason. But I noticed something when I was in Britain, and it was this, that the pavements, or as they're known here, sidewalks, were pretty littered, especially in downtown areas, with chewing gum.
Gross.
It occurred to me at that moment that I hadn't really seen a chewing gum laden sidewalk on that level since I lived in Britain. This was a common sight, just walking down a downtown street. In America, I'm not saying it doesn't happen, I mean gum spitters are everywhere, but with the exception of occasional cracks in the sidewalk, they always seem to be a bit more clean than the ones in Britain. And so I've put this in here because I want to ask the question, is that because Americans have a good habit of not spitting out chewing gum as much as British people, or is it because they replace the sidewalk every now and again? So those are just some.
Well, we do replace the sidewalk, but I feel maybe also there's more trash cans along the streets. I mean, I don't know. I'm in Chicago. We have a lot of trash cans around. And also they make a big deal about making sure things are clean. Most places that I've been here in Chicago, they like to keep things neat. I've seen lots of people going around with a little with the scrapers and with the little pokey things to like throw away the garbage. So I don't know, maybe there's just more trash cans. There's more places to deposit the gum, you know. We put them under things, like the gum goes under railings and stuff, and under benches and tables. Like, don't do that, it's nasty. But I feel like that's where it goes. It doesn't go on the ground as much. It goes like under whatever you can get your hands on.
Some of the habits that confused me when I first moved to America. Let me know in the comments if you're American and if you habitually do any of these things. As promised, here is me comparing British and American sleep time. You'll watch that next. And until the next video, goodbye.
Goodbye.
Thanks.
I do the right thing. I say right all the time. Oh, I didn't even notice. See, that's how you know it's a habit. It's like I don't even pay attention to that, and yet I do it constantly. Anyway, thank you for watching this video. I do hope you enjoyed it. Yeah, I got hurt a lot during it, so there's that. And again, my little spiel at the beginning, where it's gonna be interesting for a while to see how that monetization thing happens, if I can get it back up and running. And also if like if when that happens, if any of my old videos just suddenly don't have like if they're all suddenly not monetized, I don't know what I'm going to do about that. Or if they're all like suddenly remonetized, but in the way that the AI did it, because I swear to you, I try to keep the ads to like limited. I have like put up videos before, and like the suggested ads that YouTube will put up there's like 13, and like why? It's a 30-minute video. It doesn't need 13 ads, especially with one like 2 minutes apart, like a minute and a half apart from each other, 40 seconds apart from each other. What the hell is that? Anyway, it doesn't matter, not relevant. We're going through it. So if you do want to help us out monetarily, you can go over and join the Patreon briefly. And then pop back over here. That would help. Thank you for watching this at the very least. And stick around. Hopefully we'll get things settled and back to normal soon. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.